name is Jeff Smith, and I'm a paramedic from Vancouver. I come from a family of first responders. My mom was a nurse, and probably part of the reason why I became a paramedic. My wife is a police officer, and my brother-in-law is a firefighter. I guess you can say a safety-first family. My poor children growing up. I'm definitely not the same person I was when I started the job. Like most new recruits, I graduated from the paramedic academy, keen and excited to help people. But I wasn't prepared for what I was about to see over the next 20 years. When I started this job, there was very little awareness or education about occupational stress injuries and PTSD. Those who had it were considered weak or shouldn't have been doing the job in the first place. I was trained not to ask for help. When a call comes in, no matter how bad it is, you are the help, and you need to put your emotions aside in order to get the job done. Trauma? It comes with the territory. It's a job requirement. But I really had no idea how my body was going to react to what I saw. My experiences as a paramedic have affected my day-to-day life and really every move I make. The first time I noticed something wasn't right was after one of Vancouver's worst gangland shootings. It was the last call that came in after a busy weekend night shift. I remember driving home that beautiful morning after my shift to my wife and two young boys, and I was trying to rationalize what had just happened. These thoughts became so repetitive. They consumed my days and nights. Physically, I was present, but my mind was still in that restaurant. My nervous system was now in a constant state of fight or flight, stuck in a loop. And I began abusing alcohol and prescription drugs. If I wasn't at work, I would start drinking as soon as I got up in the morning. I'd go through a 15-pack of beer, and drink a bottle or two of wine and take some Ativan to sleep at night. I remember having booze hidden all over the house, and I was in such denial. You see, when we respond to danger, our bodies are flooded with chemicals that keep us alive and out of danger. And the irony is these same chemicals over time become toxic. Human beings are not designed to be fueled by adrenaline. The energy produced by these powerful chemicals stays in our bodies long after the danger is gone and leaves a permanent scar. These scars build up the more you're exposed over and over again to suffering and death. The slightest thing would set me off. Rage, I've done it all. I've smashed doors, I've driven my car recklessly, I've put holes in the walls, and I've said things that I'll regret for the rest of my life. I would think about my family and those around me that were witnessing a monster completely out of control. After these episodes, I'd have these overwhelming feelings of guilt and shame, and honestly, no one could convince me otherwise. I was embarrassed to go outside. What were the neighbors going to think? I felt isolated and disconnected from family and friends. I stayed in the basement, self-medicating, while reliving that scene in the restaurant. My family finally had enough, and I needed to reach out for help before it was too late. In 2009, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I spent the next few years retelling my story to different counselors and psychologists, traumatized each time, but desperately trying to find someone that understood what I was going through. I've taken all sorts of medications over the years, and some of these have some significant side effects. I felt defeated, having tried nearly every conventional treatment for PTSD. It was like Groundhog Day, over and over. I was so tired of it all. On February 16th of this year, I had had enough, and I was ready to end the suffering. I drove my son to the gym, and I parked my car underneath the Lionsgate Bridge. I walked up onto the bridge and climbed over the railing, and as I stood there for the first time in a while, I was at peace and in control. Fortunately, that night, my plan was interrupted by the Vancouver Police Department, and I ended up in the hospital. There's a silver lining inside of this dark story. After getting out of the hospital, I was introduced to a registered clinical counselor by the name of Steve King. Steve and I met on Zoom and started doing some work right away. I was so relieved that I didn't have to leave the safety of my house. No more uncomfortable doctor's office and waiting rooms filled with strangers. I was in my home with my family where I felt safe. And you really get a sense of how important it is to feel safe when you're constantly on the lookout for danger that doesn't exist. Steve introduced me to the detachment technique. He urged me to remain skeptical, and I didn't have to share the details of the horrors that I've witnessed over the years with him. The detachment technique helped calm my nervous system and allowed me to be present. I was able to process the impacts of years' worth of shock and trauma, and finally make peace with my past. The thoughts of wanting to end it all have disappeared. I still have bad days, that's a fact of life. The difference is now I have a skill set that helps me navigate those bad days. My mind is no longer frozen in the past, and I now feel like I have a purpose again. I'm on a mission to live and help others. And I'm proud and I'm grateful to be a part of the DTEC team responding to this public health crisis. Thank you.